Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're going to have a look at some two-step equations today, but before we jump in and do these two-step equations, first thing we want to do is we want to define what a like term actually is. Because to do these two-step equations, we need to collect like terms. So what is a like term? So I like to think of like terms as like our family members. So if I have an unknown variable, let's call this unknown variable x, this is going to be a like term with any other number that has the letter x raised to the power of 1. So a like term, it's the same letter and it's being raised to the same power. Okay, so if they're raised to the same letter and the same power, they are a family. So if I have x, then 6x is going to be a family member because x to the power of 1 is present in both of these terms. If I did negative 2x, then this is also a family member with these terms. If I did x squared or something like xy, these guys are no longer family members. They don't have the same last name. They don't have the same letter, or they don't have the same power in their last name. Okay, so what that means is that we can't add or we can't combine these guys because they are not like terms. So how do we collect like terms? Well, when we collect like terms, it's very simple. We're going to use that coefficient, so that big number at the front, and we're going to use that to help us define the solution. So for example, if we did 6x take 2x, looking at these coefficients at the front here, this is going to become 4x. So think of this as kind of like saying I've got 6 apples and I'm taking away 2 apples, I've got 4 apples left over. So similarly, we also have some like terms or family members that do not have a last name. So these are our numbers. So for example, if I had 8 or pi or 3 or negative a half or negative infinity, these are all numbers. So therefore, these guys are all like terms. These guys are all family members. So when we do these two-step equations, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring our family members together first, and then we can go ahead and simplify after that. So let's go through a couple of questions here. So this first question, 3m plus 5 is equal to 14. So what I want to do is I want to figure out my family members. So in this case, we only have 3m. We don't have any other m terms. So our like terms are actually going to be our number terms. When we cross these number terms to bring our family members together, when we cross these over this bridge, this is going to turn into its opposite. So we end up with 3m is equal to 14 take away 5. Now we don't need to write this step every time, I'm just writing it there to show you what's going on. So we end up with 3m is equal to 9. Now that we've got our family members together, we need to isolate this letter m here. We want to have this m alone so that we know what it is. So to do that, we've got to get rid of this number out the front. And again, this is going to come across the bridge, and when it comes across the bridge, it's going to turn into its opposite. So this is now going to become m is equal to 9 divided by 3. And again, we don't need to actually write this step. I'm just showing you how this process works. So m is equal to 3. So let's do another example now, and let's do a little bit less working out just to make it a bit quicker. So we'll look at this question B here. So question B, negative 2w plus 6 is equal to 16. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look for my family members. Now I'm going to collect my family members, and when we cross the bridge, we're going to turn into our opposite. So we end up with, negative 2w is equal to 10. The last thing that we need to do now is we need to isolate. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and divide by this coefficient out the front, and we're going to end up with w is equal to negative 5. Let's do another example. So let's do question C here. So negative 5k minus 12 is equal to 8. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find our family members. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to bring our family member over the bridge, and when we do that, it's going to turn into its opposite. So negative 5k is equal to 8 plus 12. All right, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to isolate our variable. So that means moving this number over to the other side. So this is going to become 20 divided by negative 5. So k is equal to negative 4. Okay, let's have a look at some of these trickier examples that have brackets involved. So in this case, we kind of got a problem because some of our family members are trapped. So we want to free our family members first, and then we can go ahead and combine our family members together. So to do that, I'm going to use my distributive law or my crab claw law. So 2 times m makes 2m, 2 times -4 makes -8. So see how this makes like a little crab claw when I draw in these arrows? That's why I call it the crab claw law. So now what we're going to do, we're going to find our family members. So we've got -8 and -6 because they're both numbers. So when we move this this -8 over to the other side, he's going to turn into his opposite. So we're going to end up with 2m is equal to 2. Now we just need to go ahead and isolate m. So we're going to do the opposite, so dividing by 2, and m is equal to 1. We have another example here where we have some trapped family members. So let's go ahead and let's free our family members first. So we end up with -3n minus 36 is equal to 18. Now let's go ahead and let's collect our family members. So when he comes across the bridge, he's going to turn into his opposite. So we end up with -3n is equal to 18 plus 36. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to isolate n. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to divide through by this number here. So dividing by -3. And 54 divided by -3 is going to be, 3 goes into 5 once, remainder 2. 3 goes into 24 8 times. And this is going to be -28. So that's how we free our family members. The last type of question that I want to have a look at is I want to have a look at when we have a really dangerous situation, and that situation is the hostage situation. So we've got to free our family members and deal with the hostage situation. So when we have these divisions or when we have these fraction signs in here, that's when we have a hostage situation. So what we want to try and do is we want to try and collect as many family members as we can first before we go ahead and free the hostages. So to do that, I can see I've got a family member on this side that I'm going to bring over to the other side. So when we bring this over to the other side, it's going to turn into its opposite. So I end with x over 3 is equal to 7. So now that I've got all my family members in one place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to free the hostage. So to do that, I'm going to do the opposite. And when I bring this over, this is going to become multiply 3. So x is equal to 7 times 3, which is 21. Okay, so what do we do now if we've got a whole system here, a whole family that's being taken hostage? Well, we're going to have to free the hostages first, aren't we? So to do that, I'm going to move him over to the other side to free the hostages. And to do that, we're going to do the opposite operation. So this is going to become x minus 5 is equal to 4. Now that we have our hostages free, we can go ahead and we can find our family members. We can bring those over to the other side. And then we can have our solution for x, which is going to be 9. We have another hostage situation here, so let's go ahead. Let's bring this guy over to here. So to do that, we're going to do the opposite operation. And we end up with m plus 3 is equal to -14. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and we can combine our family members. So when he comes back over, he's going to turn into his opposite. And we'll end up with m is equal to -17. So that's quite a long video here that I've done on this. So if you need to, I would actually pause this video in between each of the 3 sections that I've done. Go ahead, do some of those practice questions, and then once you understand, play the video, rewatch the video, and continue to work on these through your homework tasks. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.